Hey DJ, how you doing on there? We grew up across the hall from each other in the projects, so I thought I'd give him a shout out. Thank you, Jane Doe, for inviting me here today, Sheriff and Chancellor. I'm glad that I didn't have to meet a height requirement to come speak today. I'm going to move this down. It's always a pleasure to be with you, leaders in our community, in ways that not just your titles say. As a veteran, I just think about the work that the sheriff does in his jails, where he brings all the veterans together in a unit called the Humvee, and they get special treatment, and they get special support. And I hope that if I ever fall and get into a place in my life that I need that type of support, that there'll be a sheriff in a place where I go to that will support veterans that way. So the sheriff does a round of applause for the work that he does every day. And Chancellor Motley, running one of the few majority campuses in the country, I got to thank you so much for making it easy for kids to get higher education here in Massachusetts. Thank you, Chancellor. So I'm Dan Rivera. I'm the mayor of the city of Lawrence. I'm a Lawrence kid. Grew up in Lawrence, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about stuff that's happening in Lawrence, but I thought I'd start off by saying that how really important this event is, especially in these times. Just think about this summer, and there was a video going around, there was a political campaign going on, and the amount of rhetoric around how we treat females in our society, and it ran forever. I mean, it was everywhere. There's video about people who were running for office, talking on a bus, and it was really ugly. And it wasn't just in that setting, it was also setting about race. There were some ugly things said about in race. And what we've seen since the election is that people have felt like they have license to do and say things. So all the men in the room, just close your eyes and think if you were a female all summer, and you heard all these crazy things, and then there was an election, and there was a female on the ballot, and that person didn't win for whatever reason. You just feel like there's this constant beating of your gender. And as a son of a single mom and a brother of two women, I just think that I hope that society will find us a more comforting space for the women who are out there every day. Because it is tough times. And you being here today wearing a white ribbon, talking to your friends, it makes a big difference. So in Lawrence, we have a lot of single parents, some moms and some men too, but we have a lot of single female parents, and it's important because we've had a lot of violence, domestic violence issues, and it's one of those things you just, every time it happens, people think, well, maybe it's because it's Lawrence, but really there's a society-wide problem. Men abuse and kill their spouses every day in this country. It's a society-wide problem, and it doesn't matter what social economic background you come from. It's happening in your communities. It's one of those things that whispers in the corners of not just locker rooms, but golf courses and society where people may think it's not happening. It's not just happening in the poorest corners of our communities. So this education piece is very important. We have to raise a flag. We have to have curriculum in it. We have to have the support of our legislatures. Thanks so much to the governor, the lieutenant governor, the speaker, Senate president, all of you very much for being here and saying that we will also create laws to make a safe space. It's really important. You cannot give them enough round of applause because they do a great job. Thank you so much. So this is personal for me, and so I'm proud to support the work that we do in our city. When I was a kid, my mom and had her problems with domestic violence, and when I go to domestic violence scenes where there's a murder, I just think I remember being the kid in the room listening to the violence, and I think it's really a hard thing to come away from and change and to see that there's a different place in the world for you. But then I saw it with my sisters. And then I just think, it's really not them. It's really us, the guys. We have to take control of this problem. And trust me, I've stunned a post in in Desert Storm all by myself for like 48 hours. I know what it is to feel alone and left by yourself and hopeless and powerless. Because I was the youngest military police officer on the squad. I had to be doing these awful things. And I also remember coming out of the service and knowing, I'm not sure if I'm going to get a job, and applying to be like a taxi driver. I'll do anything. So I understand this piece of hopelessness. But we have to understand that hopelessness does not give us license to grab a partner, someone who wants to share their life with you as a life preserver. And it's different than that. We have to actually lift those people up in our lives because that helps us become better people too. But I don't know if you guys have pictured, you ever seen an idea of a drowning man with a life preserver? The life preserver is actually under the water. Do all their power on top. And that is not the way we have to live ourselves up as men. We have to lift ourselves up as men by being better people ourselves. And so I think about this effort personally because if we had had more education, and trust me, people come into our community right off the plane, off the boat. They come right off to our communities. They don't know how to speak English. They don't have a job. They don't have an education. So they start learning the culture. And we're very fortunate. We have a big community of people that are turning. Part of the culture that you're learning is not just be on time for work, learn English. It's also, hey, you don't beat your wives, and you don't hit your girlfriends. And we work hard every day to do that. And so we do the basic stuff in the classroom and those things, but we also do some things that I like to call guerrilla tactics. Everybody familiar with this, guerrilla tactics? It's like non-traditional. And one of them is that every year women come together and they dress in white gowns and bride gowns, and they walk through our community, and they usually do like maybe a 2-mile walk. And it is amazing to see 150 women in bride outfits just walking down Broadway in Lawrence. It is amazing. Now, what does that do? First of all, every car stops, and they're all holding signs of names of victims and of kind of the things that, that violence isn't right, the types of things you see as signs. But it does a piece of education that we really do need. And again, we try to use the guerrilla tactic. The other thing that I'll tell you, the other guerrilla tactic that we use is it's a sports angle too. It's we have a lot of people that come from the Dominican Republic, so baseball is a big thing. So softball, adult male softball in Lawrence is a big deal. If I could play, I would get more votes. It's a big deal. But I don't because I don't know how to play, so I would lose votes. So, but we do give out trophies, and we show up. It's a big deal. And so the women in our community got wise and say the biggest tournament we have is actually a tournament done by this group called De La Mano, and all the teams come. There's a big trophy at the end. There's a big party afterwards. So we have close to 200 softball players getting ready to play. But what they don't know a lot of times is that at the very beginning they're held hostage for 45 minutes, and they're given domestic violence education. They're given a piece of paper. All the stuff is purple, is the color of the organization. The women talk to them all in Spanish. We have guys come and talk as peers as well. And, it's genius because everybody wants to play softball. But we take that small moment of their energy and just say, hey, by the way, this is also very important. And we feel like those types of education really get to the base of some of these folks who otherwise would just go about their business every day. And just, again, think about this campaign in a personal way. We get the chance to be seen by a lot of people. People listen to us every day, come to us. And when they see us role modeling this, it changes lives because people that don't know how to get information, they look to some of us that way. But you also have spheres of influences. Every man in this room has a friend or a cousin, a brother, who you can say to him, you know what, that's not cool. You should do the other things like stop it from happening and jump in the middle of stuff but if you don't have that level of comfort in doing it, you can all just say it's not cool and walk away and tell somebody about it. You don't have to stand on top of downtown. You can actually just do something very small. And so I encourage you to do that, and I thank you for doing that because every time you do that, you're taking responsibility for yourself and your sphere of influence. And every time you do that, you make the world a little bit less violent for females And I know that my mom and my sisters will be very happy about that. Thank you.